So we can't mourn the Game 7 loss, first round exit forever. So now the question is, where do the Leafs go next? Where do they go now?
Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close your eyes and let us fade away.
Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and if you're a regular then make sure to like this video and comment down below what you think the Leafs need to do next in terms of trades or anything else. I'm Victoria and I like to chat hockey from across the pond. I'm in Scotland in case you can't tell, but I talk mainly Leafs hockey, so welcome if you're new and welcome back if you're always here. So this is going to be kind of a three-part series about where the Leafs go from here, and the first part, which is today's video, is about basically trades and player values and who I think should be staying, who I think should be going. Let's jump into that, shall we? So obviously this is not like a comprehensive list. I've tried to cover as many existing players as I can, but I can do another video on maybe who we should be looking to bring in the other way. But today it's just about the players that we have already and who I think should be moving. The Leafs are certainly going to be looking to move some people. And according to Cap Friendly, Toronto right now have 7.8 million available in cap space. So there's certainly going to be some movement. But the argument right now is where the movement's going to be. I've seen a lot of talk about this on Twitter, and I've seen a lot of people saying that the core needs shaken up. Perhaps like Nylander needs to be discussed, which I'll get to. But I personally think that the changes are more going to be within like depth players. I don't think there should be too much change to the existing core, but I'll get to that. But this is just sort of my own thoughts. I am not an expert by any means, can I just say. I am not an expert. I'm just a girl who really loves hockey, who posts stuff on the internet. So before people come at me with, that doesn't make any sense, this is just my thoughts. It's just my thoughts. If you don't like my thoughts, please don't feel like you have to watch my content. If you disagree with me, please comment down below. I would love to have like a discussion about it. I love hearing other people's thoughts. But yeah, this is just my basically thoughts on current players in the Toronto Maple Leafs. So let's go. So Toronto right now have 4 restricted free agents and 6 unrestricted free agents. So it's going to be a busy off season. So let's start with the unrestricted free agents, of which there are 6 currently in the Leafs franchise. So our biggest UFA has to be Jack Campbell. So the downsides, we've obviously lost 2 Game 7s 2 years in a row with Jack Campbell in net for us. However, his record since joining the Leafs is pretty impressive. This season he has a 51-49 record, so it just seems to be playoffs that's the issue. However, how much of that playoff loss was to do with Jack is certainly up for debate. I mean, Tampa are incredible. I did a whole video on this already, and I am not inclined to put pretty much any of the blame on Campbell. But he obviously is not signed for us, and we need to be looking at, do we want another goalie? Do we think that we're going to get a better shot elsewhere? Because right now, I personally don't think that's true, and I think we need more goalie depth. But I don't think getting rid of Jack Campbell is the first solution. However, I know that I read on Twitter that he had been offered a starting offer of like 2.75 million, which obviously he did not grab with 2 hands, which I completely understand because he definitely is worth far more than that. So we are running the risk here of him going elsewhere, and he has to be signed before July 13th, otherwise we're going to lose him, I think. I'm a bit stuck on that. If we can sign Jack for less than 5, I would certainly keep him. Any more than that, and I think we're stretching it. However, I think Jack has saved us so much this season that he should be a priority to get back, 100%. Next up, Jason Spezza. Oh, I love this man so much. He's an absolute gem of Leafs Nation, isn't he? He's adorable. And he came out and said that he only wants to play in Toronto. So I think give him the league minimum again. He's clearly going to take it. I think if he doesn't get offered league minimum with us, he's going to retire. give him it. I think the leadership he provides to the team is pretty pivotal. That speech that he clearly gave during playoffs, that infamous speech that nobody knows the details of but everybody loves already, that kind of shot a rocket up our arses. I think stuff like that makes him very valuable. Plus, he's still a decent hockey player. He's still pretty good. Given his age and how much he costs us, I think he's really good. So I 100% think league minimum, offer him it again. I'm certain he'll take it and we get to keep him. No harm done. Ellia Mccave. So as a 20 goal scorer this season, it's likely he's going to want a higher salary than what he's on right now. And we have to remember he also wanted traded out of Toronto last season. So my instinct is, as much as I love his pace and speed on the ice and I love a lot of things he does, I'm inclined to say you'll let him go to free up some space. I'm inclined to say it. It kind of pains me to say it because I'm a big fan of Mccave. I think he's such a great addition to the team. But I'm just not sure how much more we can afford to pay him, and also he might want to go elsewhere. And if a player wants to leave, as far as I'm concerned, you should 100% let them go, because if they don't want to be there 100%, they're not going to be performing their absolute best. So my inclination is that maybe he should be one of the ones up for discussion in terms of freeing up some space, maybe. And now the other Ilya, Labushkin. Oh, what a great addition to the Leafs franchise that guy has been. I love his physical play. Such a great contribution he has. I absolutely love him. And obviously he was traded to the Leafs after Nick Ritchie was sent to the Coyotes, and he's definitely been one of the best additions in a while, I would say. He's adding some great depth there, and he made 1.35 million this season, so I think the Leafs will definitely need to increase this based on his play to maybe 2 to 3 million, and hopefully on that he will stay, because he definitely, I think he could have a really bright future at the Leafs, put it that way. And finally, when talking about UFAs, we've got Colin Blackwell and Giordano, who I'm just going to kind of lump together here just because obviously the trades, I remember trade deadline time, I remember the stress, I remember it. And these two, don't get me wrong, I've really enjoyed having these two. And Blackwell, I think we should hopefully get him back next season for maybe like 1 mil. That would be nice. He's been like a nice little addition to the team. And Gio, to keep him, he's going to need to go on about league minimum, isn't he, in order for it to actually work. But he does bring experience and leadership to the team, and I think the two of them have been great additions. I still say that that was a good trade. I still completely stand by that. I'm glad we didn't give up more than what we did. I think it was played perfectly. I think Dubas did really well with that trade. So if we can keep them both for just kind of a small enough amount of money, then definitely keep them, but depends what these guys are looking for, doesn't it? So now on to the restricted free agents, of which the Leafs have 4 currently. So first up, Pierre Engvall. I adore Engvall so much. I think he's really developed and evolved as a player this season, and I think the depth that we're needing, he's a vital part of that. So he was on 1.25 million this season, and hopefully just with maybe a slight increase, just a slight, he will stay with us. And I'd really like to see where we can take him next season, but he's definitely not a part of our depth that I would like to see moved, definitely not. Rasmus Sandin, so he only made $900,000 this season. However, his injuries definitely held back his potential, which was a shame to see. So I think if we're going to be signing him back, if we're going to be keeping him, it's going to have to be just around the $1 million mark and on a short-term deal, because if you're that plagued with injuries, a long-term deal seems very unlikely. But I would be happy to see him back for just around the $1 million mark, I must say. Another one that I would love to see on a short-term deal around the $1 million mark is Ondrej Kase. Again, plagued by injuries. It's such a shame. If these guys were healthy, I feel like they would have had such a bigger role in the team throughout this season. But from what we have seen of them, I've been thoroughly impressed. But sadly, injuries have definitely put limitations on what we've been able to see from them this season. So hopefully maybe a short-term deal on that would be a good solution, and we'll just try and keep them healthy for that time. And finally in this section we have Timothy Lilligan. 23 points in 61 games this season, and this is his first full season in the NHL as well, so the Leafs should definitely be looking to try and secure him. I think he's definitely one of the players that's picked up the most over this season, and we should be able to keep him for relatively cheap right now, I would imagine. He should be another one that I would definitely hope the Leafs are looking to try and keep. So let's just touch on the core slightly. So I think Austin and Mitch throughout this series definitely performed far better than they have done in previous years. There was more shots, they were more physically involved. You could actually see they were on the ice, whereas, I mean, last year's playoffs, I was quite disappointed in both of them, to be completely honest. So I'm glad to see that they really picked up the pace this year. And you know me, biggest Austin Matthews fan to ever exist, and I don't have criticisms of him most of the time, but I was concerned he was going to repeat history in his playoff performance. And although there were certainly games where I saw him being a bit quieter, overall I was impressed, and with the season that he's just had, Austin's not going anywhere. But we're not going to talk about the fact that there's only 2 years left on his contract, because that absolutely terrifies me. I'm now on a mission to get to Toronto within that time, hopefully next season, just to make sure that I can see him play, because if I missed that, I would never forgive myself. So yeah, let's get me to Toronto next season. Let me see Austin Matthews play. I'm going to be one of those people there with a sign. I don't care. A sign with some Austin thing on it. I don't care. I do not care. I have no shame. Anyway, back to what I'm meant to be talking about. Austin and Mitch, I think, you know, they're not even up for discussion right now, are they? The only one that I've really seen much discussion about is Nylander. I also saw some Tavares discussions. He's not going anywhere either. The leadership that he brings, the experience that he brings is perfect, and some of his best games recently were games 5, 6 and 7, which was a shame, because it was kind of overlooked almost because of the results. So I feel like he's been pretty overlooked, but I know his salary is quite high. I will admit that Tavares is on quite a lot, but he's really not the one up for discussion here. Nylander is. Nylander, I think if we're going to be moving any of the core, if there's going to be any drastic changes, I think it's going to be Nylander who is being discussed, which pains me to say, because I am definitely attached to this core far too much, and I really don't want to see any of them go, not going to lie. I think we came so close, and I still think if it hadn't been Tampa we were playing, I think the outcome would have been very different. So is it worth changing up that much? Then again, if something's not working, you kind of have to fix it, don't you? So you might have to make some bigger changes to get more space, to get more depth, to get more players in, and we need to focus on getting some goalie depth in there, because we can't just run Jack into the ground, you know? So if it means that someone drastic has to go, I would have to agree that it would be Nylander, but I don't want him to go because he has had an amazing season, and I think he was amazing in that series just there. But I have seen a lot of talk of him going, which I would be devastated to see, but we'll see what happens, basically. So my priorities in terms of trades that I want to see, in terms of people to move, Justin Hall, I'm not even going to say any more on the topic. Mrazek, obviously, Hall's holding 2 million, Mrazek's on 3.8 million in cap space, and also Kerfoot is on 3.5 million. These are 3 guys that I definitely would be discussing their place in the team anyway, and their future in the franchise. You're going to need to move someone. Someone's going to have to go. Doesn't matter how emotionally attached to the team you are, we need to be trying to get further than where we are right now. So these are the 3 guys that I would definitely have up for debate the most. I think the priorities in terms of adding to the team, goalie depth, 100%. We need the goalie depth. I think maybe also we need some more physicality on the team. We've only really got like Simmons, don't we, who's known for being physical, and I think we're going to need some maybe more toughness added to the lineup. So I think goalie depth, toughness, that should be the 2 priorities. That's my priorities anyway, that I would like to see do with making. But July 13th is going to roll around pretty quick, so I guess we'll see what happens in that time. But I think it's going to be a busy off season. We're going to have to move people around. We don't have the money. What have we got, 7 million cap space? Yeah, we can't re-sign all those players for that amount. That's just obviously not going to happen. So I'm very excited to see what's going to come about. So there are my few thoughts on the existing players in terms of trading. So I've also got another couple of videos in the works to do with what the Leafs should be aiming to do next in the off season, but this is just kind of chapter 1, my thoughts. So thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to follow me on all my other social media. I'll put them up here and I'll leave all the links down below. If you want to follow me and add me on there for more hockey things. And thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment down below your thoughts on player trades in the off season. And I'll see you again very soon for more hockey chats from across the pond. Bye guys.